Greetings and welcome to the Power of Vintage. Today's video is going to be a quick one. We're going to take a look at this Atari Falcon keyboard, specifically the LEDs on the keyboard. They're not working properly. Let's take a deep dive into it. Let's get to it. But what we're going to do now, we're going to open this guy up and disassemble the keyboard because the LED lights, actually, let's take a look at this. So this LED light down here, it is sporadic. I think the light's fine. The LED is just fine. It's not burned out or anything like that. I think there's a dodgy connection. Because if I put pressure down here, it'll light up. It lights up sporadically. This LED light for the disk activity doesn't seem to be working. So I have a feeling it's probably burned out, or perhaps it's disconnected in some way, shape, or form. I have a few LEDs from Gotex that I've removed in the past. Those are able to be, I believe they're the right size for LEDs inside the keyboard for the Atari ST. If they are not, I will source a different version. Because to be frank, it's not working at all. So if I remove it and wait for a little while for a new one, it's not going to harm me anyway. Let's get this guy open. So we'll pull out the keyboard so you can see the guts inside. Again, lovely, lovely little guy here. This guy right here, it is working perfectly. All right, what we need to do now is we need to open this guy up. We'll shift this guy out of the way. And I don't like doing this kind of thing because there's a bazillion little screws all over the place on this. Where did we go? We've got it taken apart, and it looks like the rubber domes are stuck to the contacts here. And let's just get this. Ah, boy. I hate this part of it. There's so much likelihood of something going wrong, which is what I don't like. I don't like losing these guys. I don't want to lose these guys, obviously. It's almost like when you're working with some of the other keyboards, losing springs. At least in this case, they don't usually pop out and go springing across the room. I have lost them before, though. And it's not the enter key. I know the enter key has one fewer. There's one extra spot on the board that is not filled by the enter key. Worst case scenario, I have enough extras that I'll be okay. There are upgrades to these rubber domes. There's the TT Touch upgrade that gives a little more tactile feel. I don't know how much better it really is. Maybe I should try it out at some point. I've kind of pimped out this Atari Falcon quite a bit, so maybe I ought to take it to the next level. So you just then have to, once you find all the rubber domes, put them back in place. You got to be careful, because if you drop the keyboard, set it down too hard. Oh, I do have one for everyone. That's odd. Maybe I've already been in here. I may have. I'm thinking this LED might have burned out. Let's just make sure that this is the same size. And will it fit through the hole on the keyboard itself? We have a hole up here. And yes, it does look like it will. And then the other hole is down in this bottom corner. Not sure if this one will. But interesting, this one's a yellow. A yellow and a green. Not a green and a green. I'm going to take a look. It really does look like it's right. Like there's something. So weird that there's just shrink wrap on it and that's not covering the whole thing. The shrink wrap is to keep the legs shorting against each other. Aha, that makes sense. Okay. Before I go and remove this, let me see. So what I'm doing now, let's zoom in a little bit. I'm just using a nice coin cell power out just to test these LEDs. It's not a lot. It's just a small amount of voltage, 3 volts. That's the wrong side. And you'll just have to make certain that when I put these in, you can see that's just me moving around and missing the contact. That the LED works fine, as you can see there. So what I'm doing now is testing out these LEDs just to make certain that I don't want to just remove something to remove something. I think I got that backwards. There we go. We got good contact there on that one. Let's flip this around and do the same thing for this guy. Those let's swap polarity. And we're not getting anything. All right, we'll just power that off. And so this guy does need to change. He hasn't ever lit up. I'll take a look at this guy and just look at reflowing the solder, just to make certain that that's not the driving force behind why it's having issues. All right, we'll go to that point. Okay, I've tested this out a couple times, but I wanted to just make certain that it wasn't an intermittent kind of thing. And as I powered this on, I tested this for a while. I soldered the 2 wires and the power wires in just to see if it would light, and it lights immediately. So with a full connection, it works great. So I'll just pull these wires out, desolder them real quickly. And I don't think I'll try the hard drive or the disk drive light. I think I'm just gonna clip that off and remove it, to be honest, because it wasn't responding to anything. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll solder it. I'll just do the test solder again. There we go. Simple as that. Boom. Done. It's actually better when you can see things. That looks good. We're just going to take a look at this. So this side on the right is ground, or it'll be on the left up top is ground. The right is power in. So we'll just here, let's zoom in a little bit. So there's a pad on the left. That's going to be the black pad, negative. Pad on the right. That's the positive. Okay. That is in place. And it is not doing anything. So we are going to remove it. I'm going to start. We'll trim off that little stuff around it. It looks like a shrink wrap kind of a thing. You know, we're just going to pop off the top. Pull that off. And then we can pull out each of the wires individually. Excuse me. Now, I'm just going to test this out and determine which leg is which. Black will be left, red is right. And I have actually measured how deep this needs to go. But you know what we're going to do? We're just going to desolder that, get rid of that old solder there. Just a little bit of solder wick. That is a lot of solder. Woo! I just don't want to add solder where it doesn't belong, elsewhere on the board. There we go. And I do need to check this one more time. I'm always want to be 100% certain. we are good. Check out that height. It's not far enough out. Needs to come out a little further. Let's check that height again. Perfect. And that looks good. Let's do a quick solder check. There we go. We got light. And we're good to go. Now it's time to get this guy back in the case. So the next step here is to flip this over and reinsert it here with the keyboard. Taking care to make certain the LEDs pop through properly, are aligned properly. No, that's not working. We're going to have to adjust this guy a little bit. Because this LED is a little too stiff. And it's not wanting to fit in the right location. So what I'm going to do is just pull it out of this side here briefly, quickly. And just adjust it slightly. As simple as that. Let's try it now. This is always a fun situation trying to get these back in place. All right, let's see about starting to add some of the screws back in. There are a lot of screws. The thing I always worry about is that getting one of the rubber domes out of place and trapped in a weird location. So what I try to do is I do try to put in strategic screws around the board to make sure we maintain pressure so nothing can come popping out. And we'll have to test the board again once it's all back together. But I think we're doing okay. I think we're gonna be good. Let's just... That's unfortunate. It looks like we have a few that are larger and smaller. I always love this. This is such a fun experience. Let's grab one of these up here. Uh-oh. Okay. Looks like that LED is just a little bit too big, but what we can do is I think I can just make it a little closer to the board. That way it won't go slot too deeply. I got them all off. Yeah, we got them. Lovely. Okay. I think I'm going to want to do some adjustments here with how I'm getting this all put together. All sorts of fun stuff, you know? Things never quite work out exactly the way you want them to. And now what we'll do is we'll just take this and push it down a little deeper. Just make sure I didn't do anything stupid on this backside. No, looks okay. Okay. Much shorter, closer to the board. I think we're good. What we're going to do is I'm going to find a couple of objects to rest this board, the keyboard on. Actually, you know what I think I can do? We can use my two little magnet bowls. And rest either side of the keyboard on these boards. That way, the keys are all in the up, down, whatever direction you want to call it position. And that we'll make sure that these rubber domes stay socketed in their correct locale. And we are looking good. It's fitting in nicely. We'll just get a few screws in to begin with. And once these initial ones are in, then I can just move it back directly onto the table. This is one of the aspects of the keyboard repair that I don't like. And of course, I didn't touch up the mouse and joystick sockets. They don't need it. Everything's been working fine plugged into them. I'm not plugging and unplugging mice and joysticks as I'm using these mousters here. And I just leave them plugged in. It's great. Those wireless mice, or the DB9 to USB adapters are excellent. I think I mentioned previously how robust this keyboard is. It's a pain to work with and actually work on, but on a positive note, it doesn't need much work most of the time. I've had very few keyboard issues, and I think the one time I actually had a broken trace, it was easy to fix because this is a PCB. You don't have to worry about any Mylar business. The one sad thing is I don't have a yellow LED. At some point, perhaps I'll swap that green disc indicator LED for a yellow indicator LED. I just need to get a one that's small enough. I have a bunch of larger ones, but not too many of that small size. I just have those Gotek ones that were salvaged off of Gotex. Now we just have these. And now this guy goes back into the case. As simple as this. The interesting thing about the Falcon keyboard, at least with this case here, is that there are extra pins on the motherboard for the keyboard. More than this keyboard actually has. Maybe someone knows in the chat or in the comments, let me know if you know why there are these extra pins here. If they were intended for something that never happened or whatnot. All right. Make sure everything's looking good. Perfect. I'm pretty confident everything's going to work. And if it doesn't, well, it doesn't. But I'm pretty certain it's going to work just fine. It was clear that the original disc indicator LED was burned out or damaged or whatnot. And the power LED, the basic power LED, was just very intermittent. All right, and this is the joystick. I'll use that with either a gamepad. Actually, I just use it with a gamepad mostly. Gives me an extra button, which is awesome. Let's move this guy back over to where he belongs. All right, we're gonna hook this guy back up. Printer cable in the parallel port. Monitor plus VGA adapter. SCSI. Speaker. And let's power it on. Power LED lit right up. And let's see if we get any hard drive indicator lighting. Oh! Actually, just drive indicator lighting. Oh, it's looking like it's working. So let's go to CT63 Games. Yes! Awesome. Fix in place. We are in the games area. Looks good. All right. Thanks for watching.